Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "My boyfriend's family is upset with me because he cut them off. I've been with my boyfriend for a little over 5 years. We have a 3-year-old baby boy. He's a great guy and an amazing father. I couldn't have gotten luckier and I can't wait to marry him and expand our family. The one issue is his family and their relationship with his ex, B. My boyfriend dated B when he was pretty young, basically all the way through high school and into college. Their parents are best friends. They broke up because he walked in on B with another guy during a college party. Ever since the breakup, I guess there has always been an expectation from their families that they would get back together after they matured. He doesn't want to get back with her and he's made it clear to both B and his parents. B moved away when I came into the picture and his family and I had a good relationship, more so after my son was born. B moved back to town this past year and it's basically wrecked my relationship with my boyfriend's family. His mom gushes about B and tries to get my boyfriend to go out and catch up with B without me. There have been numerous times he's gone to his mom's house where she is having coffee with B and leaves them alone together. He's made it clear he doesn't want B and is happy with me, but it falls on deaf ears. The breaking point was when we went over to his parents' house for dinner and B showed up. My boyfriend went to clean up our son after dinner and left me alone with B and his mom. His mom asked B why she wasn't wifed up yet, and B looked at me and said word for word, "I'm waiting for your son to get his priorities straight." His mom laughed and I felt sick. I got up to get my boyfriend to leave. He asked me why and I explained what happened. This led to a whole fight and basically my boyfriend told his family to give up on him and B or they would never see him and our son again. His mom called me an overreactive bitch and that was basically it. My boyfriend and I left and he blocked his parents' numbers. That was a week ago and we've been getting calls nonstop from his siblings saying we were too hard on his mom and that dad shouldn't be punished for what his mom did. This has led to my boyfriend blocking his siblings now too. I feel so strange. I'm glad he stepped up and chose me and my son, but I hate that it's because of me that he cut off his family. I feel so much guilt about my son possibly not being able to see his grandparents too. I'm almost tempted to reach out myself to try to fix things. Has anyone been in a similar situation? I could use some perspective. Kudos to OP's boyfriend for not giving in to the expectations of his family. The worst possible thing he could do here is betray the woman with whom he already has a child. I think OP is misunderstanding that her boyfriend cut off his family because of them, not because of her. Unfortunately, there are far too many parents and families who impose themselves too much on their kids. I think it's best if OP allows her boyfriend to take the lead regarding his family. Whatever he feels is adequate for himself, she should support him in his choices. User 𝖔𝖗𝖌𝖆𝖘 said, "Not your circus, not your monkeys." He's cutting them off because they refuse to see him as his own person with his own desires or respect his choices in love. You don't need to reach out because you are the incidental catalyst for the fight. It was a fight that probably would have happened for him no matter what. Just focus on supporting him, the child, and yourself. Good luck. User 𝖔𝖗𝖌𝖆𝖘 said, "Your husband is a keeper. Please, under no circumstances, try to facilitate mending the relationship right now. If you do, you risk getting your husband mad at you and him feeling betrayed because you'd essentially be going behind his back to try to fix something you can't fix. Let everyone cool off. Tell him that you really appreciate how he stood up for you and then ask him how he wants to move forward. Your relationship with your husband is more valuable than your son's relationship with his grandparents." User 𝖔𝖆𝖆𝐹 said, "I absolutely applaud your husband for setting a boundary and sticking to it. You're right that it's a broadly upsetting situation for everyone, but the one positive thing to come out of this for sure is that your husband is 100% in your corner. His parents and B were outright bullying you, which is an absolutely appalling thing for any grown adult to do to another, let alone for your in-laws to do to the mother of their grandchild. If your husband's siblings don't gain some perspective, then they can get blocked too. Give it some time, let everything cool down. But this really is the kind of situation that requires an apology, no matter how much time has passed. B sounds like a home-wrecking little hussy, as my mother would say, and it's horrible that she seems to have your mother-in-law wrapped around her little finger like that. Your husband did well by you. You don't deserve to be bullied, you deserve to be loved and appreciated for who you are. Focus on your family for now. Push those awful manipulative people out of your mind. They don't deserve to be there. This next post was made in the same subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "I've been faking most orgasms with my husband for years. Now it's causing problems. I've been faking most orgasms with my husband and now it's causing problems because I'm selfish for finishing first." For some context, my husband and I have been together for 7 years and married for 3. Since the beginning of our relationship, I've had the bad habit of faking orgasms during penetrative sex. At first, I thought it wasn't a big deal, but as time went on, I felt stuck. I've never truly orgasmed from penetration alone. However, I orgasm regularly during masturbation or oral sex, often multiple times. For example, my husband usually stops oral sex after I come 3 times, but I've even hit 14 during solo play. So I know the issue isn't my ability to orgasm. The problem started because he seemed to take pride in making me come during sex. I didn't want to ruin that for him. It made him feel accomplished and confident. Sometimes I faked it just to relieve the slight awkwardness of him trying hard to make it happen. Over time, I fell into a pattern: 2 orgasms during penetration, then he'd finish. It felt easier to keep up the act than to address it. Honestly, this routine has worked for years. He seemed happy and I was okay with it. He's reiterated several times how proud he is in a humble brag, "Aren't you lucky to have me?" kind of way that he pleases me so much with penetration. But yesterday, everything changed. Out of nowhere, he implied that I'm sexually selfish because I focus on my pleasure instead of his during penetrative sex, coming twice before he finishes. I was shocked. First, because I faked those orgasms for his benefit, and second, because I thought it made sense for me to finish first since sex is essentially over after he comes. He suggested I focus more on his pleasure instead of mine. He said that by me usually finishing before him, it seems that I'm focusing more on my pleasure than his. His comment hurt. I've spent years faking orgasms to boost his confidence, and now he's calling me selfish for it. I wanted to blurt out the truth, but I couldn't. I feel like this is the final straw though. I honestly don't want to fake it anymore. Any advice on how to navigate this delicate situation? User Princess Pancake said, "The simplest solution would be to just stop faking orgasms from now on. The more difficult, but ultimately better in the long run, thing to do would be to have a conversation where you tell your husband the truth. Figure out where his idea that you're sexually selfish is coming from, and discuss how your sex life can be more satisfying for both of you going forward." User 𝖔𝖗𝖆𝖘𝖒𝖘 said, "Tell him you have been lying. He likely won't believe you and may be really upset and embarrassed. This is a mess no matter how it goes down." Also, the more women lie about things like this, the worse it is for women who don't. Men are always saying that all the other women I have slept with came easily. Then I have to explain that statistically it is much more likely that they were faking. Please stop lying. This final post was made in the 𝖔𝖗𝖃 subreddit by a user named Particular Anxious. The post is titled 𝖔𝖗𝖃 for skipping my friend's birthday without warning because his GF calls me the typical girl best friend. Miles and I have known each other since we were 2 because our parents are best friends. Now, I would not say Miles is my best friend. He is a good friend and we do hang out on occasion, but we see each other on all major holidays because of our parents. We are in our early 20s. The problem started because of a dumb childhood memory. When we were 8, we had a wedding play at school after care. I played the bride and Miles played the groom. It was a play with horrible songs and uncoordinated kids. Of course, our parents made pictures and videos of that, and we each have one picture on our family picture walls. Miles is dating Lindy. They met 3 years ago and started dating last year. Lindy does not like me, so every time we coincide at a celebration, she makes a comment about me being the typical girl best friend. One time, she said that I secretly wanted to sleep with Miles. I have no clue where she got that impression from. Miles and I have different friend groups and schedules. Besides the monthly catch-up over food, we didn't really meet that much. Things got worse when Lindy saw the wedding play picture. The comments just increased. She even started messaging me on Instagram saying she knew what game I was playing. I talked to Miles once about this and he told me to give her time. So his birthday was on Saturday and I was invited. Lindy wrote to me saying something along the lines of that she was going to supervise me. This was their first birthday as a couple and I was not allowed to take up his time. I was honestly just fed up. I tried talking to Miles once more, but he said the same thing, so I just skipped out. When the party started, I wrote a quick message saying, "Sorry, I can't come," and told him my mother was going to bring his present. Now, he is upset with me for missing his birthday. Lindy is mad that I made it all about myself, and my parents are upset I missed a family function. Am I the asshole? Edit, I didn't show anyone the messages because I didn't want to make more out of this than it is. I didn't want to poison anyone against Lindy, especially not if she is a new fixture in Miles's life. That would make both our lives more difficult. I hope that just talking about it might be the more adult thing to do. My parents are not mad at me or blowing up my phone, a la Reddit fashion. They and Miles's parents were just bummed out that this was the first birthday that I ever missed. As for why she is jealous, I have no idea. Neither of our parents ever wanted us to get together. There were no jokes or anything about it. I think they also never would want that. The wedding play picture is in the living room because they loved the picture and it was our first play. Update. After my post, I talked to Miles. At first, he was kind of mad and thought I had been blowing things out of proportion. Some more details are in my last post. We came to the conclusion that we should take more distance while he figures everything out, mainly because I did not want the added stress of petty drama. Then I talked to my parents and explained to them what was going on. They were really upset by how Lindy treated me. Obviously, they weren't going to get involved, but it was nice to get that off my chest. Then nothing else happened until Tuesday evening. Wednesday was a holiday, so some of my friends took the opportunity to go to an Irish pub to do karaoke. At some point, my best friend and I went to the restroom to touch up our makeup. Then Lindy and some of her friends walked in and kind of cornered us. It wasn't pretty. They stared and loudly talked about man-stealing bitches and how some women were just born to be homewreckers. They imagined being pathetic enough to pretend to be a guy's friend just to sleep with him and how pick-me's are the worst. They kept edging us physically into the area where the hand dryers were while pretending we were not there. Finally, my best friend had enough and pushed through them while pulling me behind her. We were almost at our table when Lindy went right behind me and pulled my hair, causing me to fall backward onto a metallic piece where you were supposed to put your feet. It hurt so badly that I started to see white. Then a girl next to Lindy poured beer on me. I can't really tell you what happened after that, but there was a scuffle and someone dropped one of those heavy pint glasses on my head. Lindy and her friends were taken away by the police and I was taken to the hospital. My parents were furious, as were Miles's parents. They both came to the hospital. I was severely concussed, my nose was fractured, and the worst thing is that I have a hairline fracture in my back. I stayed in the hospital until yesterday morning. Miles did try calling me a bunch. According to my parents, they told him not to visit me right now. I did receive an official notice saying that apparently there is now a legal case open against Lindy and one other girl for not only assault but also public disturbance at the bar. So now I'll have to deal with all that legally. I finally talked to Miles, and long story short, those of you saying Lindy isolating him was a sign of an abusive relationship were right. He told me all the things she said to him to make him feel awful. She would freak out about anything in her life and take it out on him. She would scratch him and bite him when she was mad. Our talk ended with both of us crying and apologizing. We will be closer again, at least we can talk about these things more often now. He broke up with her and is hiding at my parents' house, so that is it for now. Update 2, I'll update immediately and go into details later. There has been an official court date set for my case against Lindy. It took 2 months to get and is another 3 months out, but something is better than nothing. Our lawyer said that Lindy is probably not going to jail since she is a first-time offender. If she does go to jail, it would be no more than 3 months. Most likely, she will have to pay a fee equivalent to 100 days of her income or something like that. I have let my father handle this 100% because I have no head for it. There is a second lawsuit going on at the same time as I am now legally chronically ill. The hairline fracture was not a passing thing. It has developed into something more serious. I am in daily pain. Not every day is bad, but not a day passes where I am not at least at a 2 on the pain scale. As a result, I have not been able to work. Right now, my insurance pays 75% of my former income and my workplace covers the rest. However, I am probably going to get fired, so my insurance has filed a claim against Lindy to cover my lost wages. I am currently not in contact with Miles. I tried to be supportive, but being disabled by his jealous ex-girlfriend has made me bitter toward him. He was a victim, but now I can't live my life, and I partly blame him for that. I am in therapy to work through all of this and have taken up some new hobbies. I have started to write more and am looking into courses or online classes. Miles's parents have been apologetic and have supported me a lot. His mother has been a saint. She volunteered to drive me everywhere and I have actually become friends with her. We even went to see Deadpool and Wolverine. She is a stay-at-home wife, so we have a lot of time together. One of Lindy's friends reached out through my lawyer offering testimony against her own friend. She also sent a letter apologizing. To make it short, Lindy has had told them I was bullying her and that Miles had once already cheated on her with me. So that's where we are right now. Take care and watch your back. Update 3. Hey everyone, so here we are again, and yeah, things have moved along, but honestly, I'm just tired. The first court date, it came and went. It was my insurance company versus Lindy, and she lost. She's on the hook for most of my lost wages, which is nice, I guess. I didn't have to be there the whole time, for which I was grateful because I've had enough of this mess. As for the criminal case, well, we don't even know if we'll end up going to court for that one. My lawyer is handling it, and I've handed the reins over to my dad because honestly, I've had it. I'm no legal expert, and after that insurance loss, Lindy's in a bad spot. Her legal team is apparently scrambling to do some serious damage control, but at this point, that's not my problem. More of Lindy's friends have crawled out of their hidey holes to give testimony. It turns out this wasn't her first rodeo. Another girl came forward with evidence of Lindy pulling similar stunts back in high school. This poor girl was just sitting next to Lindy's then boyfriend, being a normal human, when Lindy went off the rails, starting rumors and spreading literal breadcrumbs on her table to trigger her celiac disease. Yeah, she's that kind of psycho. No one could prove it at the time, but now, with all these friends popping up, it's all coming to light. And believe me, these girls didn't have some moral epiphany. They're just terrified of getting fired or having anything negative pop up in their records. The receipts are coming out and it's getting uglier by the day. Now, let's talk about Miles because that's a whole other dumpster fire. I'm still not speaking to him. It turns out he's known for a while that Lindy was threatening him with bad things if he didn't cut me off and make his parents stop talking to me. And this idiot laughed it off. He thought she meant breaking up with him or something. But no, she was dead serious. She even started stalking me and one of his cousins. She made some fake profile and was sending cryptic messages to his cousin. What did Miles do? He talked her down. Yeah, that's it. She kept giving him ultimatums and he just rolled with it. So yeah, I'm even angrier at him now. He knew she was unhinged and didn't do a damn thing about it. He let her spiral while I got dragged through the mud. His dad finally got involved and took him to the police, where they filed reports about all the crap Lindy pulled. They have evidence now from the stuff with his cousin and even photos from when Lindy got physical with him. So at least something's happening on that front, but it's too little too late if you ask me. As for Lindy, well, she's gone radio silent, except for TikTok of course. My friends keep sending me her cringy videos and it's honestly kind of disturbing. She's acting like nothing is happening, like her whole life isn't unraveling. She's got a new boyfriend now and they're making those awful lip sync videos together. I think she's living at his place, but who knows? Maybe her parents cut her off. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, and the guy? Yeah, one of my friends looked him up. Let's just say he fits right into her pattern. As my grandma would say, there's a lid for every pot. On the health front, there is still nothing good to report. My pain hasn't improved and I'm now waiting for a surgery appointment, which looks like it will be early 2025. The pain is radiating to my left hip now, which is just great. I feel like that sad little dog from The Black Cauldron. But hey, silver lining, I've made friends with a few of the nurses who work with me. One of them braids my hair, which is kind of sweet. I'm also seeing a physiotherapist regularly, mostly for massages at this point. It helps, but some days I feel like I'm just patching myself together with duct tape. The therapist suggested I start doing pool exercises, so now I'm in an aqua aerobics class for seniors. No, there isn't a disability-specific class in my town, and frankly, I didn't feel like looking too hard. The old ladies are a riot though. Well, except for one who always looks miserable, but honestly, I'm not one to talk. One piece of good news, I finally got approved for a wheelchair. So at least I can go out with my friends without feeling like my body is falling apart after an hour. I've also been taking a few university courses for fun and playing way too much Fallout. So there's that. And that's where we are. It's still a mess, but I'm just doing what I can to get through it. Thanks for sticking around, I guess. Final update. Hi everyone, things have finally settled enough for me to share an update. The court case is over, Lindy was sentenced to actual prison time, and none of it is suspended. She also has to pay restitution for my medical expenses, lost wages, and pain and suffering. The court didn't miss a thing. They went through all the evidence, the testimonies, and even the messages, and it was clear who was at fault. I cannot tell you how much of a relief this is. During the trial, Lindy claimed I'd been bullying her and that I planned the pub incident to ambush her in the bathroom where there were no cameras. She said I struck first. Two of her friends backed her up, but the third one, who was also part of the attack, ended up telling the truth truth to avoid harsher punishment. It was obvious their stories didn't line up, and when the outside CCTV footage and witnesses from the pub were brought in, her whole narrative fell apart. The court didn't buy it, especially with all the messages Lindy had sent me before the incident. She could not explain why someone supposedly bullying her would also be the one receiving threats from her. It also came out that Lindy and her new boyfriend had been intimidating witnesses. He even messaged me on Instagram trying to get me to say something incriminating or admit to something I didn't do. At first, I didn't realize who it was, so I replied briefly, but once I figured it out, I stopped immediately. Thankfully, I had already handed over everything to my lawyer, so it was documented. Watching her lawyer try to frame her actions as acting out under stress while knowing she was tampering with the case was surreal. There was a moment outside the courtroom where my parents and Lindy's parents talked. It wasn't an argument, but it was uncomfortable. My parents pointed out how everything presented in court made it clear what Lindy had done. Lindy's parents didn't argue back, but they seemed completely out of their depth. They mentioned being shocked by how much she had escalated things and admitted they hadn't understood how serious it was. They've taken on the financial burden of her restitution, which means I know the money for everything will come through. It's hard to say if they are doing it out of guilt or to protect their image, but either way, it is one less thing for me to worry about. Adjusting to my new normal has been a mixed bag. The chronic pain is still there, and my surgery isn't happening for a few more months. I've also been dealing with the endless back and forth of German bureaucracy. My insurance keeps sending letters asking, "Are you still disabled?" as if chronic pain and an unhealed fracture could magically fix themselves. Every time I think I'm done explaining my situation, they send me another form to fill out. It's exhausting, but my doctors have been really supportive and always help me get the paperwork sorted. Some days are harder than others, and there are moments when I feel sad about how much my life has changed. A few months ago, I was stuck in that sadness, angry all the time, and constantly thinking about how unfair this all is. I think I was grieving the life I thought I would have. Now, though, I have accepted that this is my life, and even if I never fully heal, I know I'll manage. I'm not letting Lindy take up any more space in my head than she already has. I have started focusing on things that make me happy again. My friends and I started a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, and they come over to my place to play. They're so patient when I need breaks or when the pain gets bad. Through that group, I met someone. At first, I was nervous about getting close to him because I thought he might see my situation as too much to deal with, but he's been amazing. He drives me to appointments, brings me groceries once a week, and has never made me feel like a burden. I'm falling in love with him, and for the first time in a while, I feel hopeful. I've also been keeping my mind busy with the courses and finally rewatched all of How I Met Your Mother. Sometimes I catch myself comparing my old life to this one, and it makes me sad, but I don't stay in that feeling as long as I used to. I've started finding a balance between moving forward and letting myself feel everything that comes with this new chapter. I've distanced myself from Miles's parents. They were wonderful to me, but I realized he needs their support now more than I do, and it should be undivided. I still don't know if I can forgive him. To this day, I haven't. Thank you to everyone who has supported me through all of this. It has been a long road, but I finally feel like I'm on the other side of it. Take care of yourselves and hold on to the people who make your life lighter. They make all the difference. User Necessary Sir said, "One day it was like I woke up and magically had back and neurological problems at a pretty young age. It freaking sucks adjusting and realizing you can't do what you once could. It takes time to adjust, but it did get a lot better with time. You seem to have such a positive attitude, and I'm super proud of you for that. Hang in there, OP, and I'm so glad there was justice. The girl is absolutely unhinged." User Alamix said, "I'm genuinely happy for you. I wonder which Bundesland this took place in. 8 months is a long time, but still fast for the German system. Also, the issue with the insurance sucks, but it's on par with everything. I have been on a waiting list for a diagnosis for about 2 years. User Andravisia said, "That was a rough read, OP, but I'm glad that you're taking care of yourself and that you have people to support you. As for you, whether you forgive him or not is a choice that only you can make. And if you do forgive him, that doesn't mean that you have to allow him back into your life. You're allowed to wish for him to eat, but that doesn't mean he has a place at your table." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.